there's a silent ache every man knows, the ache of wanting her most at the exact moment she slips further away. You replay every move, every word, wondering how desire turned into distance. It feels like punishment. It feels like betrayal. But female psychology is not punishment, it's a test. When she pushes you away, it is not always rejection. It is her way of measuring your emotional control, your ability to hold a masculine frame without collapsing. She wants you, but she wants to know if you can want her without needing her. Modern dating trauma has conditioned men to chase when she withdraws, to break discipline in the very moment strength is demanded. And in that panic, you trade away your value as a man. You surrender relationship power dynamics the moment you plead for closeness. The paradox is this: the more you detach, the more she reaches. The less you need her validation, the more she craves your presence. So tell me, when she pulls away, will you collapse or will you dare to stay still? Point number 1. The hidden meaning behind her distance. She doesn't leave you with screaming fights. She leaves you with silence. A phone that lights up less and less. A body that turns colder in the same bed. You feel it before you admit it. The withdrawal. The distance. The slow erosion of connection that eats at a man more than open rejection ever could. And here's the cruel truth. Her distance is not always about leaving. Sometimes it's about measuring. She is watching how you react when she denies you the comfort you crave. This is female psychology in its rawest form. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." That sentence is a blade against the soft flesh of your panic. Because what destroys you in these moments is not her silence, it's your reaction to it. In ancient Rome, generals would test their soldiers by starving them of rest, water, or warmth. The point was not cruelty. The point was proof. A man who could endure deprivation without losing discipline was a man who could be trusted. Her silence works the same way today, but instead of the battlefield, it plays out in bedrooms, text threads, and cold dinners eaten across from a glowing phone. It's a test of your masculine control. Will you chase? Will you beg? Will you lose yourself trying to hold her? Modern dating trauma has taught men to see withdrawal as doom, so they overcompensate. They call twice. They explain themselves. They collapse into neediness, handing over relationship power dynamics without even realizing it. This is where most men fail. They confuse love with access, and when access is denied, they panic. But distance is not death. It is an invitation to prove emotional discipline, to show that your value as a man does not shrink when she withholds. In truth, she may want you most when she pulls back. She may be craving a man who can withstand the tension without breaking. Stoic detachment is not cold, it is clarity. It is the quiet strength that says, "I want you, but I do not need you." Train your silence. Ask yourself when she retreats, do you collapse into desperation? Or do you remain unmoved, anchored in your own frame? Her distance is only the first cut. What comes next reveals whether you bleed out, or whether you rise into a man who no longer fears her silence. Because the greater danger isn't her absence, it's the way you betray yourself trying to close the gap. And the next lesson will show you why desire disguised as withdrawal is the sharpest weapon she carries against the unprepared. Point number 2. Desire disguised as withdrawal. She turns away just when you're sure she wants you. Her eyes linger, but her body steps back. Her message is slowed down right after a night that felt electric. It feels like a contradiction. It feels like rejection. But here's the hidden truth. Distance is often the mask desire wears. A woman can want you deeply and still pull away. Not because she has stopped desiring you, but because desire terrifies her. It forces her to test whether you can carry the weight of her. Retreat without collapsing into need. Seneca wrote, "The greatest remedy for anger is delay." That wisdom applies here. The feminine pullback is a delay, pause designed to expose whether you react with strength or with fear. In ancient courts, men proved dominance not by chasing, but by waiting. A king who begged for loyalty lost it. A man who held silence gained it. Withdrawal was never the end. It was the battlefield, where patience revealed true command. Today, the same psychology lives in dating apps. Late-night read receipts and a partner who suddenly needs space. Her withdrawal feels like punishment, but it's often her way of asking, silently, will you lose your masculine frame when I step back? Or will you let desire breathe until it returns to you on its own? Most men fail this test. They equate space with rejection and react with panic. They send long explanations, demand reassurance, or drown her in attention. And in doing so, They crush the very desire they are desperate to protect. Here's the paradox. When she pulls back, she often wants you more. But she needs to feel that your value as a man does not bend under pressure, that your emotional discipline is greater than her fluctuation, that your lust does not command you, you command it. This is Stoic detachment in practice. It is the art of remaining calm when female psychology tries to rattle your center. It is the refusal to negotiate your worth in moments of silence. Control the urge to chase. Ask yourself when her desire hides behind withdrawal. Do you expose your weakness by running after her? Or do you let her come back to the strength she cannot ignore? Because her retreat is not always rejection. Sometimes, it is the highest form of desire, one that only a man of discipline will ever be allowed to touch. And the next truth will reveal why neediness poisons masculine frame faster than any rejection ever could. Point number 3. Why neediness poisons masculine frame. Neediness is invisible until it's too late. It seeps out in the way you text too quickly, in the way you explain yourself when nothing was asked, in the way you look for reassurance instead of holding your ground. You don't notice it at first, but she does. Female psychology is wired to sense when a man bends his value to keep her close, and the moment she feels it, attraction begins to rot from the inside out. Epictetus warned, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish." Neediness is the opposite. It is the desperation to never look foolish, to never risk disapproval. It makes you chase validation instead of standing firm in masculine control. In the ancient world, warriors who flinched for approval were the first to fall. A man who needed the crowd's cheer could not be trusted with a shield. Strength was measured by silence under pressure, not by begging to be seen. Modern dating makes this poison worse. You see her online active but ignoring you. You notice her Instagram story but not your message. You start calculating how to win her back with gifts, attention, or endless apologies. And in that spiral, you hand over relationship power dynamics without even realizing it. Here's the harsh reality. Neediness is not love. It is self-betrayal dressed up as devotion. It says, my value depends on how you see me. And once you live in that frame, you no longer exist as a man, only as an accessory to her mood. Masculine frame is built on scarcity of reaction. It is the discipline to let silence stretch without breaking. It is the quiet refusal to negotiate your worth in moments of withdrawal. When you need nothing, you become everything. Train your restraint. Ask yourself, how many times have you traded your strength for her comfort, thinking it would keep her, only to lose both in the process? Because every act of neediness is a leak in the frame you're meant to guard. And the next truth will expose why the feminine test of emotional discipline is not cruelty. It's the fire that forges a man who cannot be moved. Point number 4. The feminine test of emotional discipline. She won't announce it. There's no warning, no clear line drawn. But one day, you will feel the shift. Her words grow sharper. Her warmth cools. Her affection thins. It isn't always betrayal. It isn't always the end. Often it is something older, deeper, almost instinctive. A test. Not a test of money, looks, or status. A test of your emotional discipline. Female psychology has always measured men not by what they give, but by what they can hold. Can you absorb chaos without crumbling? Can you remain calm when she storms? Can you keep your frame when she pulls hers apart? Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." That is the exact edge she presses. Because her moods, her silence, her withdrawal, they are the outside events, and your reaction to them decides whether you stand as a man or fold into a boy. In ancient households, women tested a man's steadiness the way soldiers tested shields. They struck them, pushed against them, waited for cracks. Not from malice, but from necessity. A shield that breaks cannot protect. A man who shatters under pressure cannot be trusted. Today the strikes come in quieter forms. A delayed reply, a sudden cold shoulder after intimacy, a question meant to provoke, or the subtle sting of comparing you to another man. Most men fail here. They meet fire with fire, or they collapse into begging, explaining, overreacting. Both paths kill attraction, because both prove one thing: your center belongs to her moods, not to your own command. Stoic detachment is the antidote. Not indifference, not cruelty, clarity. It is the steady breath in the face of provocation, the refusal to confuse her storm with your identity, the ability to let her test crash against you without reaching for control you do not need. Emotional discipline is the purest form of masculine control. It is proof that your value as a man is not rented by her affection. It is owned, guarded, and unshakable. Hold your ground. Ask yourself, when she tests you, do you reveal a man who anchors her, or a man who drowns beside her? Because the test is never about breaking you. It is about proving whether you can be trusted when the storm comes harder. And the next truth reveals why stoic detachment, held in silence, becomes the quiet power that makes her crave what she cannot move. Point number 5. Stoic detachment is quiet power. She expects you to flinch, to argue, to chase, to fill the silence with explanations. But you don't. You sit in stillness. You hold the frame. You let the storm pass without bending. This is stoic detachment, not coldness, not cruelty, but quiet power. It is the strength to feel desire, anger, or rejection without letting it control your next move. It is the discipline to remain unmoved when every part of her behavior is designed to shake you loose. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Freedom here is not distance from her body. It is distance from her grip on your mind. Because once she controls your reactions, she controls the entire relationship power dynamic. The ancients understood this well. A general who panicked at the first sign of retreat lost his army. A king who responded to every insult revealed weakness. The men who ruled were the ones who let silence do their speaking. Today you are tested in smaller, sharper ways. The girlfriend who ignores your call after a fight. The woman who posts herself online when you disagree. The wife who withholds affection to see if you chase. These moments are not accidents, they are examinations. Most men fail because they mistake silence for weakness. They rush to fill the gap, to prove their love, to soothe her fear. And in doing so, they surrender the one thing she was truly measuring, your self-command. Quiet power is not about walking away. It's about showing her that your value as a man is not conditional, that your emotions belong to you, not to her mood, that you can hold desire without begging, endure distance without breaking, and love without losing yourself. This is the masculine frame she cannot move, the one she secretly craves even as she resists it. Because a man anchored in stoic silence is a man she cannot shake, no matter how hard she tries. Train your stillness. Ask yourself when her tests rise, do you reveal your strength and restraint, or do you hand her the strings to your every reaction? Because true power is rarely loud. It is the quiet that makes her lean closer, the silence that pulls her back, the calm that keeps you untouchable. And the next lesson reveals how betrayal and lust, psychology, feed this game. Why her withdrawal isn't just distance, but the pull of a deeper trap. Point number 6. The pull of betrayal and lust psychology. Betrayal doesn't always arrive with another man's name. Sometimes it shows up in the way her eyes wander when you're speaking, or in the sudden secrecy of her phone, or in the way she withdraws after intimacy, leaving you with questions you can't answer. It cuts because lust and betrayal are woven together. She may still desire you even as she entertains another. She may test you with distance while craving your presence in silence. This paradox is the engine of female psychology. It pulls you in and pushes you away at the same time. Marcus Aurelius warned, "You suffer more from imagination than from reality." That is the battlefield of betrayal. Not only what she does, but what your mind builds in the silence. The more you obsess, the more power you hand away. In the old world, rulers knew this well. A rival didn't need to strike if he could plant suspicion. Men destroyed themselves faster with jealousy than with swords, and the same is true now. Her withdrawal, her secrecy, her provocations, these are modern forms of warfare. Dating apps buzzing at midnight. Just a friend messages left on read. Lust traps set through curated images online. You aren't only fighting her actions, you're fighting your own imagination. This is why emotional discipline matters. Most men collapse under the weight of uncertainty. They confront too soon, accuse without proof, or spiral into control games. And in doing so, they poison the masculine frame they are trying to preserve. Stoic detachment doesn't mean ignoring betrayal. It means refusing to let lust or fear decide your actions. It means watching carefully, measuring consistently, and acting only when clarity is undeniable. This is masculine control, holding steady while the fire burns around you. Betrayal pulls hardest on men who cannot master lust. The craving for her body blinds them to the cracks in her loyalty. They trade silence for begging, strength for suspicion, value for access. And once you play that game, you've already lost. Guard your mind first. Ask yourself, when temptation and betrayal surround you, do you rule your lust, or does your lust rule you into weakness? Because the real battle is not her betrayal, it is the way desire makes you betray yourself. And the next truth reveals how to reclaim your value in relationship. power dynamics, so her silence and distance can no longer strip you of your ground. Point number 7. Reclaiming value in relationship power dynamics. Every man knows the moment he feels it. The shift. The slow slide where she holds the reins, and you become the one following. Chasing, explaining. It doesn't happen in a single day. It happens piece by piece, your silence traded for overtalk, your standards lowered for her comfort, your power exchanged for permission to stay close. This is how men lose their value in relationships. Not through betrayal alone, but through surrender. And the surrender begins the second you forget that your worth is not up for negotiation. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." That is the key. Freedom in a relationship is not about control over her, it's control over your own reactions. Because the man who governs himself governs the dynamic. In the ancient world, power was always tested by leverage. Tributes, alliances, loyalty oaths, all designed to reveal who needed who more. The weaker side always gave first. And once you give, you never stop. Today, the same logic lives in texts unanswered, in intimacy withheld, in the unspoken tension of, "Prove yourself to me." The man who scrambles to prove always loses ground, because every gesture rooted in fear tells her one thing: you value her opinion more than your own frame. Reclaiming value begins with subtraction. Stop doing what erodes you. Stop explaining your worth. Stop negotiating your standards. Stop trading masculine control for temporary closeness. This doesn't mean cold withdrawal. It means living as if your time, your focus, and your presence are currency. Because they are. The man who treats his energy as scarce regains power without speaking a word. Female psychology bends to this truth. She cannot respect a man who bows for approval. But she cannot ignore a man who holds steady in silence, whose emotional discipline does not waver under her storms. This is Stoic detachment at its core, the refusal to hand away the throne of your value. The clarity to see that every test is not about her, it's about whether you've mastered yourself. Guard your value. Ask yourself, how many times have you sold pieces of your strength just to keep her near, only to find she respected you less for it? Because a man who reclaims his value shifts the balance forever. And the next lesson will show you why the paradox of closeness through control is the final proof that the less you grasp, the more she reaches. She pulls away when you want her most. You've seen the distance, you've felt the silence, and now you know it was never about her leaving. It was about whether you could stay still. The storm of betrayal, lust, and testing will always rise. The question is not whether she withdraws, but whether you collapse. Do you chase her or do you command yourself? Do you lose value or prove it in silence? If this cuts deep, subscribe to Stoic Pulse. Like the video. Share it with the men who need to face this truth. Because the hardest lessons are only just beginning.